Please take your seats. My name is Jim Hake, and it is both a pleasure and an honor for me to be the Master of Ceremonies at the 50th Annual Veterans Day Tribute in Hillsborough County. I'd like to welcome you all to the Veterans Memorial Park and Rear Admiral Leroy Collins Jr. Veterans Museum. Thank you to our sponsors, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners, the Veterans Museum and Park Committee, the Veterans Council of Hillsborough County in partnership with the Hillsborough County School District Junior ROT 9th Annual Drill Teams. We also have some dignitaries, and I'm also going to read a letter from Senator Nelson. I'd like to recognize Dexter Barge, Assistant County Commissioner. Tom Foss, Assistant County Administrator and Family, son-in-law of the guest speaker, Lieutenant General James Ellis. Colonel Richard Myers and his wife, Mrs. Myers, 6th Air Mobility Wing. Jane Collins and Roy Collins and family, who are located up here, and also in the seats to the left. Master Sergeant Chief Norm Walker and Mrs. Walker, friends of the Collins family. Jim Brown, Legislative Assistant to State Senator John Legg's office. David Garcia, Field Representative, Congressman Thomas Rooney's office. I also have a letter from State Senator Bill Nelson. Dear friends, on Veterans Day, we as a nation pause to honor the heroes who walk among us, the men and women who have served our nation's military and voluntarily put their lives on the line to safeguard the freedoms we all enjoy. One of the greatest privileges I have as your senator is to be able to meet some of these brave Americans. Their strength, courage, selflessness, devotion to duty, both on and off the battlefield, never ceases to amaze me. So, on this day dedicated to honoring the nation's veterans, please take a moment to join me in thanking all those who have served, all those who are still serving, and all of their families. Sincerely, Bill Nelson. Please stand. Call for the colors. The color guard is from the Middleton High School Air Force ROTC. It is now my pleasure to introduce Teresa Foss for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
Alicia. I'd like to also announce Cadet Tina Bond of the Hillsborough High School Army ROTC, and she will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tina. Retire the colors. We will now have the invocation given by Mary Ellen Hardland, Veterans Council Chaplain.
Please remove your hats. Good morning, God. Today is special for our military Veterans Day as we reflect what happened in our lives. Why we are here to encourage our thoughts of those who are not here. Our prayers consist of not in saying the words, but in lifting up our hearts and minds to God. Bless the families of our veterans. Please grant wisdom to our leaders worldwide for their leadership to help the military, past, present, and future. Thank you, God, for the words. Freedom is not free. We never say goodbye. Amen.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. I'd like to now introduce Mr. Frank Schroen, Division Director, Division of Veterans Affairs, to make a few brief statements.
Please be seated. Just did you said that. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. As I was sitting in the back, I was kind of reflecting that, on March of 2008, I was afforded the opportunity to lead Hillsborough County Veteran Affairs. And it never ceases to amaze me the amount of support this community provides to our veterans. By far, I think today is probably one of the biggest events by looking into the audience that we've had to date. So I thank you for being here. To Mrs. Jane Collins and her family, to our Gold Star families that are with us today, our guest of honor, Lieutenant General Ellis, Deputy County Administrator Mr. Greg Hordell, and our Assistant County Administrators Dexter Barge and Tom Fass. Thank you for your support of our veterans in this community. Excuse me. For those of you that this is your first time at our park, I would encourage you to take some time with this beautiful weather. Enjoy our memorials. We're about not quite halfway there, but we're on the road to making this park a world-class destination for you and your families and visitors from abroad to visit. So I encourage you to hang around as long as your schedule permits. For those of you that have been to our park before, our returning customers, we thank you for your continued patronage. I'll keep my remarks short because we have a big program for you today. But I was thinking about, what I would say to open up this magnificent ceremony, and I came to the conclusion that there's really no words that can express, and we can never say thank you enough for our veterans and our families, those that are home and abroad, those that have served and those who are serving now. We can never say thank you enough for what they do. But yet it's more through our actions. This morning, I had the opportunity to start my day down at the Port of Tampa, where our community is giving away 50 apartments to our homeless veterans. We're starting off with 50 for 1 year, taking care of our veterans. If I had the time to share with you the things that are going on in our community, you would be completely amazed. I also have the privilege of serving as our state president for our County Veteran Service Officers Association. And I don't say this to you with bias, but Hillsborough County is the #1 county out of 67 counties in taking care of our veterans and what we represent. And it's all because of the folks that are sitting in this audience. So again, it's not through our words that we speak today or our speeches, but it's through our actions. And I thank you, and I'm proud to stand among you today. Please enjoy the ceremony and enjoy the refreshments afterwards. Take some time to share some camaraderie with all of our generations of veterans that are here today. I thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Frank. It is now my privilege to introduce Colonel Sam Taylor III, United States Army retired, Hillsborough High School Army Junior ROTC, Senior Army Instructor, and he will take over the program for the next few minutes. Colonel Taylor.
Thank you, and I want to begin by saying what a tremendous pleasure it is to participate in what has become, without a doubt, the best Veterans Day commemoration in Hillsborough County. It's a celebration that holds on to important traditions, such as the POW MIA ceremony and the wreath tribute honoring the Gold Star wives, the Gold Star mothers, and the Gold Star families. In addition, this event maintains its stature and relevance because of the forward thinking that characterizes the Hillsborough County Veterans Council. That will be on full display today with the special dedications in honor of Medal of Honor winner or honor recipient Sergeant First Class Paul Smith and the designation of the POW MIA Memorial Highway. On behalf of the 28 JROTC programs in Hillsborough County, we're extremely proud to be a part of this annual celebration. In addition to the superb color guard you have seen from Middleton High School, we have a couple of oral presentations by several of our outstanding cadets. We'll start with Cadets 2nd Lieutenant Cheyenne Monroe and Staff Sergeant Rosalind Rivera from Middleton High School. They'll present a short remembrance on the 100-year anniversary of World War I and the 70th anniversary of D-Day. Please.
Good morning. I am Cadet 2nd Lieutenant Cheyenne Monroe, and I am Cadet Staff Sergeant Yasha Navarro. We are here today from Middleton High School to present a short remembrance of the 100-year anniversary of World War I and the 70th anniversary of D-Day and World War II.
World War I, also known as the Great War, World War I, and the World's First War. The world's first global conflict, the Great War, pitted the Central Powers of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire against the Allied forces of Great Britain, the United States, France, Russia, Italy, and Japan. World War I was an extremely bloody war that engulfed most of Europe from 1914 to 1919, with little ground lost or won. Fought mostly by soldiers in trenches, World War I saw an estimated 10 million military deaths and another 20 million wounded. While many hoped that World War I would be the war to end all wars, in actuality, the concluding peace treaty set stage for World War II.
D-Day, Normandy Invasion, also called Operation Overlord. During World War II, the Allied invasion of Western Europe, which was launched on June 6, 1944, the most celebrated D-Day of the war, with the simultaneous landing of the U.S., British, Canadian forces on 5 separate beachheads in Normandy, France. By the end of August 1944, all of northern France was liberated, and the invading forces reorganized for the drive into Germany, where there they would eventually meet with the Soviet forces advancing from the east to bring an end to the Nazi Reich.
Rick Atkinson, winner of the Pulitzer Prize, captured the sorrow of war in his History of D-Day, a story of sacrifice by our greatest generation during World War II. I want to share with you a story of a family that lost 3 sons. On Saturday, October 27th, the Connolly berthed in New York. Steve Doors winched the caskets from the ship, 2 at a time, in specially designed slings. Most then traveled by rail in great diaspora across the Republic for burial in their hometowns. Among those waiting was Henry A. Wright, a widower who lived on a farm in southwest Missouri near Springfield. One by one, his dead sons arrived at the local train station. Sergeant Frank H. Wright, killed on Christmas Eve, 1944, in the Bulge. Then Private Harold B. Wright, who died of his wounds in a German prison camp on February 3, 1945. And finally, Private Eldon E. Wright, killed in Germany on April 25th, 2 weeks before the war ended. Gray and stooped, the elder Wright watched as the caskets were carried into each bedroom where each boy had been born. Neighbors kept a vigil overnight, carpeting the floor with roses, and in the morning, they bore the brothers to Hilltop Cemetery for burial, side by side by side, beneath the iron sky.
It has been estimated, our World War II generation, our greatest generation, is dying off at 1,000 veterans per week. Atkinson concludes by saying, "No war is really over until the last veteran is dead." By the year 2036, U.S. government demographers estimate fewer than 400 veterans would remain alive, less than half the strength of an infantry battalion. Yet the war, and all it contained, nobility, villainy, and immeasurable sorrow, is certain to live on, even after the last soldier has gone to his grave. May the earth lie lightly on his bones. Thank you.
We'll now have a poem in tribute to all veterans past and present by Second Lieutenant Siona Raming from Hillsborough High School.
Good morning. I am Second Lieutenant Siona Raming, and I am here today to present a brief poem about Veterans Day. When America had an urgent need, these brave ones raised a hand. No hesitation held them back. They were proud to take a stand. They left their friends and family. They gave up a normal life. To serve their country and their God, they plowed into the strife. They fought for freedom and for peace on strange and foreign shores. Some lost new friends, some lost their lives in long and brutal wars. Other veterans answered a call to support the ones who fought. Their country had requirements for the essential skills they bought. We salute every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still with us here today, and those who rest in their grave. So here's to our country's heroes. They're cut above the rest. Let's give the honor that is due to our country's very best. Let's honor our military, the men and women who serve, whose dedication to our country does not falter, halt, or swerve. Let's respect them for their courage. They're ready to do what's right, to keep America safe so we can sleep better at night. Let's support and defend our soldiers, whose hardships are brutal and cruel, whose discipline we can't imagine, who follow each order and rule. Here's to those who choose to be warriors, and their helpers good and true. They're fighting for American values. They're fighting for me and you. Thank you.
We'll conclude the GRTC portion of today's program with an exhibition drill performance by cadets from Newsom High School. As you know, the discipline that comes from the performance of drill was a critical part of transforming the colonists who fought so valiantly to secure America's eventual freedom as a country into an effective fighting force. And that military now is the greatest military on this earth. Excellence in drill requires discipline, commitment, and a drive to become the best. You will see evidence of those attributes on display as the Newsom cadets perform their exhibition drill. Following their performance, you will see the Joint Service Platoon, representing all of the GRTC programs in Hillsborough County, perform a pass and review in honor of all veterans present and past. I'll give you Newsom High School.
Here to salute our veterans. Thank you for your service.
Once again, I want to thank you for allowing us to participate again. I think that what you saw was quite impressive. Some of us would have difficulty just walking up that incline right there. And they performed exhibition drill on it. I think you ought to give them another round of applause. This concludes the GROTC portion of the program, but we're going to stick around and enjoy everything else just like the rest of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Taylor, and your wonderful soldiers. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Scottish American Military Society. Please post the service colors.
Post the color. I'm Alfred MacDonald, member of the Scottish American Military Society, Post 1952 of Dunedin, Florida. On behalf of Post 1952, I would like to thank the Hillsborough Veterans Council for allowing our post to honor a special group of individuals on this Veterans Day. Our tribute is to servicemen and women whose fate is not known and whose family do not have any closure. Those who have served and those that are currently serving in the uniformed service of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled never to forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agony of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. We call your attention to this small table which occupies a place of dignity and honor. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs. Remember. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and their families, so we join together to pay a humble tribute to them and to bear witness of their continued absence. Remember. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to our country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep the faith while waiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon on the vase represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper account of our comrades who are not amongst us. Remember. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. Remember. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time. Remember. The chair is empty, for they are not here. Remember. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors and into the arms of a grateful nation. Remember. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Remember. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all our comrades will soon be back in our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifices. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. In the Scottish Declaration of Arbeth, or Scotland's independence, made on April 6, 1320, Scotland's then leader, Robert the Bruce, made this statement: "It is in truth not for glory, nor riches, nor honor that we are fighting, but for freedom. That alone which no honest man gives up but with life itself." Color Guard, retire the colors.
Thank you, Scottish American Military Society. A very stirring performance. Thank you. I would ask those who can, the Gold Star Mothers of America, the Gold Star Wives of America, and the Gold Star families, if they would like, please come over here at these wreaths, please.
Rifle detail! Fire 3 volleys!
Please take your seats. It is now my honor and privilege, and I can also check this off my bucket list. I get to introduce Lieutenant General Ellis, retired. Now, in the programs you have today, on the front cover, you will see his accomplishments. He has asked me to say the following items. He served for 35 years as a soldier, and he commanded 2 companies in combat. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Ellis.
From the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? And then I said, Here I am, send me. In the last 75 years, the United States has been involved in 132 operations. World War II, the Berlin Airlift, the Cold War, the Korean War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Vietnam, Dominican Republic, Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, Somalia, Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Lebanon, Congo, and so forth. 132. Every veteran here, every one of you, has been involved in one or more of those operations. When our country said, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for America?" you stood up, you raised your hand, and you said, "Here I am, send me." And thank you for that. This is an interesting year because of the historic celebrations. And I want to thank the ROTC lieutenant who gave that terrific account of the Great War, what we call World War I, because it's hot out here and she shortened my speech by about 2 minutes. You know, there's still over 20 countries that remember that war. Some of them call it Remembrance Day. We celebrated Armistice Day for several decades. And then after World War II, there was a gentleman named Raymond Weeks who was from my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. And Raymond went to General Eisenhower and said, "We need a holiday that celebrates the service of all veterans, not just the veterans of World War I or the Great War." And Raymond and General Eisenhower agreed, and they started working on that, and it took 9 years until 60 years ago this year, 1954, our Congress finally agreed to change the name of Armistice Day to Veterans Day to recognize all veterans of all wars, all of those who made us free and keep us free. That same year, 1954, the Congress also added 2 words to our Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance had been around since 1894. It had a few changes over time. And in 1954, we added the words, "under God."
Amen.
And thank God those words are still there despite some efforts to take them out. Two years later, the Congress changed our national motto. For 174 years, our motto had been E pluribus unum, which means from many, one. I see a lot of heads as old or older than mine nodding this way in the crowd. You remember that. In 1956, our motto was changed to "In God We Trust." If you have a coin in your pocket and you take it out and look at it, on the back side of every coin will be E pluribus unum. And on the front side will be "In God We Trust." You see a penny lying on the sidewalk and sometimes you just walk by it. I never do, because of what it says. It's not that I'm that poor, but it's because of what the penny said. I heard the laughter over here. Now, why was there such an interest in emphasizing the role of our country with God in the 1950s? Communism was a philosophy that declared atheism. We used to call it godless communism, those of you who remember that period. And our Congress and our nation wanted to emphasize the fact that we were, in fact, a godly nation. And that's why we added "In God We Trust" as our motto in 1956. There's a precedent for our emphasis on God in this country. It goes back to the very first official piece of paper of the United States of America, the Declaration of Independence. If you read the Declaration of Independence carefully, you'll find 4 references to God in our own declaration. And I think it's wonderful that we continue to do that. There's one more piece of history I want to point out to you that refers to this year. 200 years ago this year, in September, Francis Scott Key stood aboard a British warship in Baltimore Harbor and watched the bombardment of Fort McHenry. He had gone to that ship to secure the release of prisoners. But the admiral on board said, "You don't need to do that. We're going to bombard McHenry. It's going to fall. We burned your capital 3 weeks ago, and this war will be over, and America will no longer be free. You'll be back as part of the British Empire." And he wouldn't let Francis Scott Key go ashore, so he stood aboard that ship throughout the night and watched the fight. Now, I want to thank Teresa for that wonderful job singing our national anthem. But do you notice whenever we play or sing our national anthem, it always ends in a question. Does that flag still fly? The end of the first stanza is a question. Francis Scott Key is asking, is it still there? He doesn't know yet. And you go through the next stanzas, and there are 4 of them. You go through the next stanza and he says, oh yes, I can see it. I hope it continues to fly. And then he says in the 3rd stanza, it's flying. May it go forever. But the 4th stanza is by far the most powerful. And it says, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. Very positive, very powerful. Teresa. Teresa, I know you're going to be asked to sing the national anthem again someday, and when you do, take a hard look at that 4th stanza and thrill and surprise everybody by singing the 4th stanza. But it ends, each stanza ends with that same line, the land of the free and the home of the brave. If I was talking to Francis Scott Key, I would say, Francis, is there some way we can change one word in your poem, in your song, and change it to read, land of the free because of the brave? Because, it's because of brave service members for the last 239 years that we became free and we remain free. And you here were part of that group keeping us free. I salute you. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.
Thank you, General Ellis. It is now my pleasure and honor to recognize, and if you can stand, please stand. If you cannot, that's okay. I'd like to recognize all of the World War II veterans and their family. I would now like to recognize the Korean War veterans and their families. I would now like to recognize the Vietnam War and their families.
Thank you. I would now like to recognize the First Gulf War and their families, the Iraqi War and their families, and the ongoing Afghan War and their families. Please rise. We have just identified all the veterans, and that's a good thing because today's Veterans Day. I would now like to welcome the past president of the Hillsborough County Veterans Council, Walt Resnick.
Thank you, Jim. Everybody having fun yet? Yeah. Happy Veterans Day, veterans. At this stage of the program, we recognize and honor people who have provided outstanding citizenship as well as support to veterans and the community within Hillsborough County. Our first award is the 2014 Ed Porterfield Award. Will all former Ed Porterfield Award recipients please come forward? Every now and then, a hero comes along who unselfishly contributes to a far-reaching endeavor. They were called heroes because their efforts go way beyond the call of duty. Their sacrifices, their leadership, and their dedication to veterans' causes continue as a great force for good in the Tampa Bay community. In front of this podium is our original plaque hanging in the museum that shows all previous Ed Porterfield awardees, along with our original Edward Porterfield. Volunteer Mike Odell. He's the current president of Hillsborough County Veterans Council Incorporated. Mike, you could have wheeled over. Other members of the Ed Porterfield Award, please gather around Mike. Mike Odell is the current president of the Hillsborough County Veterans Council, president of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 787, Tampa Bay. He's married to Connie and a dad and granddad, a proud Navy veteran, Fisher House Foundation Volunteer of the Year for 2012. His memberships include AMVETS Post 44, Rolling Thunder, Florida, Chapter 11, American Legion Alafaya Post 148, board member Haley House Fund Incorporated, Disabled American Veterans, Hillsborough County Veterans Council President, VVA, Vietnam Veterans of America 787 President, and the Veterans Freedom Memorial Incorporated, and more. Mike Odell has participated in events, special programs, and assists with others to facilitate articles and special donations to the museum and park. He continuously participates in community health to lodge injured active duty service members as well as ill or injured veterans and their families as a board member of the Haley House Fund and assists at the Fisher House in Tampa. Has worked with the homeless veterans, men and women and children with lodging, furnishing, and clothing. He was noticed by the Tampa Bay Tribune as he and his team were collecting clothing left behind at the Tampa International Airport. When someone asks who goes above and beyond the call of duty to help our community, Mike Odell is your man. Congratulations, Mike. You are a true patriot and have achieved the Veterans Council's most prestigious award. Thank you, gentlemen. And now, to recognize other citizens, members of the Veterans Council, or people out in the community have given their all to support veterans. These awards are what we call Keeping the American Patriotic Spirit Alive Award. And our first one will member of the Ye Mystic Air Crew please come forward. Ye Mystic Air Crew are a group of volunteer pilots who do flyovers for special patriotic events at Veterans Park and also out at Bushnell National Cemetery. Gary Sample is their current president. Our next recipient, Franklin Boys Academy, please come forward. These students on their own have created what they call the Capstone Project, an idea for the school to build a Gold Star Families Memorial to honor fallen soldiers and their families. This memorial will be built on the Academy grounds next to the flagpole. They presented their idea to the Veterans Council at a monthly meeting, and we were impressed by these upcoming youth and our future leaders of America. Thank you. NAM Knights of West Side. There are many motorcycle organizations and groups throughout the county that support veterans organizations and patriotic events. It's our pleasure to award the NAM Knights of West Side 8 years of Event of the Year for NAM Knights Westside to raise funds for severely injured active duty military and veterans and families. They've raised over $80,000 in the 8 years for the Haley House Fund. 8 years of support for the fallen and injured law enforcement and first responders. Let's give a hearty hand clap for these members of the NAM Knights. Thank you. Although she is not here today, will representative of the Viking Corps of Tampa please come forward? Alicia Griffin is their president and a veteran, Navy veteran, from 1993 to 1997. She began a successful company, and her company began assisting homeless veterans, holding luncheons for 5 years and giving gift bags, hot meals, and toiletries, gift cards for food. She has now been able to keep at least 200 to 300 veterans in the community, in the community. Outstanding from an organization built from scratch from a Navy veteran. Well, Kathy Giromales, please come forward, our membership chair for the Veterans Council, if you are here today. Kathy has been our membership chair for the Veterans Council for the past 4 years. She has performed the membership chair's duties in an admirable and dedicated attention to detail and collection of members' personal information while safeguarding the same. She has built our membership where it is today. Kathy has routinely updated the membership information and submitting this information to the Office of Veteran Affairs Division for broadcast of information to the Veteran Council members. This effort is very important in keeping membership informed of important information and maintaining constant communication with the membership. Equally important is carrying out the duties as membership chair in the annual call for membership dues and recruiting new members. She has developed a system for sending out reminder notices for lapsed membership and collecting dues from current members. Outstanding, Kathy. Thank you. And of course, any organization wouldn't be successful unless you had a treasurer with honesty and above reproach credentials. And I present the next award to Barbara McGuire, our treasurer, the Veterans Council. By the way, Kathy is a veteran and Barbara is a Navy veteran. Step on it, Barbara. Barbara has... All right, way to go. Now you can see why we've been so successful. She rules with an iron stick. Barbara has been our counsel for the past 4 years. And I cannot tell you, as president, and now as past president, assisting Mike on executing our budget down to the cent. We closed out the fiscal year 2014 budget with 41 cents left over. Can't even buy a cup of coffee. Well, like I said, the FY14 expending expenses from the Board of County Commissioners budget stood at a 99.9%, a commendable accomplishment. Her monthly reports contain accurate details of the monthly business conducted by our council, and therefore has been held in high esteem by the people that adjudicate our reimbursements at the county level. We have yet to have a ding from them. So again, we thank you very much, Barbara. Ms. Teresa Foss, please come forward. General Ellis couldn't have put it more perfect with Teresa. We've used Teresa at our various events over the years, from our Field of Honor, which is our quarterly recognition of those fallen service members right now in Afghanistan. She has sung with us, she has performed other songs and so forth, so just a token of our appreciation from the Veterans Council, Teresa. Colonel Sam Taylor. Not bad when a Master Chief can tell a colonel front and center. I officially worked with Colonel Taylor this beginning of the school year to establish a relationship between the Veterans Council and the JROTC high schools. Right now there are 28. And as such, we're going to expand our awards program from the Veterans Council to all 28 high schools that apply. We give a $50 gift card. We present them with a medal and a certificate. And it's, like I say, a great appreciation from my standpoint, the Veterans Council, that we have this good relationship with Colonel Taylor and the Hillsborough County School District. Because again, as I said, the youth are our future. And as you saw the performance of our cadets, it couldn't be said more true. Thank you, Colonel. General Ellis, would you please step forward? Again, Master Chief Lieutenant General, please come forward. I am enjoying it. Well, I'm only 2 stars, though, General.
Master Chief, I thought he's in the Marine Corps.
Again, a token of our appreciation, General. I am fond of eagles, and that's why I thought that it was appropriate to present you with an eagle. Eagles soar, so do you, and so did your speech. And last but not least, our Master of Ceremonies. This is not the only thing Jim has done. He has been working with the groups of folks that take our World War II vets up to Washington, D.C., and we really appreciate what he has done. He's worked with the Veterans Council, and again, Jim, it's just our appreciation to give you a token gift from us to you for your performance today.
Thank you, Walt. You all may not realize this, but this is really fun for me to do. To look out and see all the veterans and their veteran families. I was in the service for 22 years, and it never gets old, ladies and gentlemen. It never does. I would like to now introduce a gentleman by the name of Calvin Coolidge. He will help us present the Action Track Chair to Lieutenant Nate Nelson, United States Air Force. Calvin, please come up.
Well, good morning. What a beautiful day to honor and celebrate the 20+ million men and women who have worn our nation's uniform and fought to keep us safe. I'd like to first thank the Veterans Council for allowing me to join you for today's event. And, you know, as a nation, we step back and we say thank you to the courageous men and women who have sacrificed so much that we remain, as the general put it, the land of the free because of the brave. And, you know, the Tampa Bay area is one of my favorite places, and it's not because it's 30 degrees warmer and not about to snow, like it is back in Virginia, but because this community has a fundamental understanding of what service to one's country actually means. When Oliver North and Ed Bronars founded Freedom Alliance, the organization for which I work, nearly 25 years ago, they did it to ensure that the protests they received as they returned home from Vietnam never happens again. And while not perfect, today's generations of veterans have resources and services available to them that previous generations did not, which is why organizations such as the Veterans Council are so important. As news coverage of our troops overseas diminishes, it is more important than ever to understand that many of our veterans are still on a mission, and that mission is to heal. That's why for many years Freedom Alliance has hosted troop appreciation events and dinners for our service members and their families. Many of those dinners have been held right here in Tampa for the patients at the James Haley VA Center. It's why we also have the Freedom Alliance Scholarship Fund, which has to date provided over $8 million in college tuition assistance to the children of those who have been killed. This year we'll have nearly 300 students on scholarship. And while these scholarships help immensely to offset tuition, they ultimately serve a greater purpose. And that is to remind young Americans that their mom or dad's sacrifice will never be forgotten by a grateful nation. We've also found that one of the most powerful ways to help today's veterans is for them to spend time in the great outdoors. Whether a 3-day rafting trip down the Rogue River in Oregon, a fishing trip in the Gulf of Mexico, or a weekend outdoor hunt. These adventures provide the camaraderie that many of today's veterans are missing and are often one of the most effective treatments for post-traumatic stress. Sadly, many of our heroes have injuries that prohibit or make it extremely painful and difficult to participate in outdoor events. We're joined this morning by Air Force First Lieutenant Nate Nelson and his wife Jen and their beautiful baby girl. While on patrol in Afghanistan, his team was attacked by enemy fighters and they were hit by a rocket-propelled grenade, resulting in Nate having a severe spinal injury. With the help of his wife, he's currently recovering up at the Haley VA Center. Before his injury, Nate enjoyed the outdoor activities such as hunting and fishing, but his injuries now prohibit these type of activities. Well, now, thanks to some American ingenuity, Nate's going to be able to spend a lot more time in the outdoors that he loves. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nate Nelson. The chair that Nate is in is called an action track chair, and with it he can go pretty much anywhere. On the beach, rocky terrain, and in the woods. He can even go into the water for a little bit. Nate, we are all grateful to your service, to our country, and your sacrifice, and this is just a small token of our thanks. So why don't you give it a roll and let everybody see what you can do. I would be remiss if I did not thank Franz Hengler, who flew in yesterday to join us for this event. He and his family generously sponsored 4 of the 6 chairs that Freedom Alliance has given away this year. So thank you, Franz, for that. In closing, I'd like to say, while today is Veterans Day, I'd like to challenge each of you to find a way to show our appreciation to American heroes year-round. Thank you so much.
Thank you, First Lieutenant. I would now like to introduce from Tampa Jeep, Larry Bronson, for a presentation.
Good morning, my name's Larry Bronson with the Tampa Jeep Crew. I am honored to be here with Darren McCall, founder and owner of the Ranger Proof Arms Incorporated, as well as Terry and John Montado, part of our Veterans Affairs Committee fundraising group. We're an 1,800 member organization dedicated to organizing fundraising activities across the community, especially here in South Florida. Currently, we raised over $8,000 towards the Iraq Memorial for granite benches to finish out that memorial that's over there on the far side. DMAC is one of our members. Like I mentioned, he's the owner of Ranger Proof Arms. I'm going to turn it over to him for a second to talk about his donated assault rifle that he gave to us as part of our fundraising efforts, and then we'll finish up here in just a minute.
Good afternoon. It's beyond words how humbling it is to be here. I'm a veteran myself. I've been serving since 1987, both active duty and National Guard. I currently serve active in the National Guard as a warrant officer. Made it all the way up to First Sergeant. I turned down Command Sergeant Major to become a warrant so I could continue serving. I own a small rifle company. I'm also serving as a police officer. So when Larry approached me to see if there was something I could do to help raise money for the Veterans Memorial Park, I jumped at it. I built a very custom rifle. I was able to donate it 100% to the Veterans Memorial Park, who then in turn donated it over to the winning raffle ticket holder. So at this time, I'd like to present the rifle. I'd like to present this rifle to the Veterans Park, who then can turn around and donate it to the winning lotto or winning ticket. Unfortunately, because it is a functioning firearm, ATF has to be involved. So we had to draw the winner on Saturday. I had to do all the legal paperwork, and the rifle is donated to the veterans, given over to the winning
American flag stuff. Oh.
So again, thank you to the Veterans Council, the committee here for the Veterans Memorial Park for allowing us to be part of this fundraising effort, and we encourage others to get involved and be participants in the overall efforts here in finishing out the memorial. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I had to find my place. I know we're running at about an hour and 15 minutes. I have three.
As slowly as I have to, and we have three presentations to make. The first presentation is Resolution 14-115. Whereas Rear Admiral Leroy Collins Jr. contributed greatly to Florida through his military service and business ventures throughout his lifetime. And whereas Rear Admiral Leroy Collins Jr. served on the USS James Madison from 1961 to 1966 and subsequently joined the Navy Reserve, where he retired as a two-star Rear Admiral in 1990. Whereas Rear Admiral Leroy Collins also entered the business world, bringing MasterCard to 7 counties in the late 60s, and whereas throughout his life, Rear Admiral Leroy Collins contributed greatly to the financial ventures in Florida, primarily in electronic banking, and whereas Rear Admiral Leroy Collins Jr. passionately served the veterans community and is credited for bringing the Veterans Hospital to Orlando. Enacted in 2014 state legislative session and approved by the Governor of Florida, it is thereby resolved that the portion of State Road 589 and State Road 568 Veterans Expressway between State Road 60, Courtney Campbell Causeway, and State Road 597, Dale Mabry Highway in Hillsborough County as Rear Admiral Leroy Collins Jr. Veterans Expressway. Mrs. Collins, I understand you'd like to say a few words, please.
County portion of the Veterans Expressway named for Roy, alongside the other road designations for Deputy Sheriff David Abella, Congressional Medal of Honor recipient Sergeant First Class Paul Smith, and other POWs and MIAs who have served and given their lives unselfishly to the service and protection of others. Our sincere thanks to the state, county, and especially Roy's good friend, retired Master Chief and World War II combat veteran Norm Walker, and his wife Joan, who are here with us today all the way from Kentucky, for being so instrumental in remembering Roy in this special way. Thank you again, and may God bless the USA.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins and the family. The next resolution is Resolution R14116. I would ask any Iraqi war veteran in attendance today to please come up and unveil this with me. Please do not be bashful. I need an Iraqi war veteran. Resolution. Whereas Sergeant First Class Paul R. Smith, designated, distinguished himself by acts of gallantry above and beyond the call of duty in action with an armed enemy near Baghdad International Airport, Baghdad, Iraq, on April 4, 2003. And whereas Sergeant First Class Smith's extraordinary heroism and uncommon valor are in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the 3rd Infantry Division, the United States Army, and whereas Sergeant First Class Smith was designated as a Medal of Honor recipient in 2005, and whereas Sergeant First Class Paul R. Smith is recognized in Hillsborough County as a true American hero. The legislation and approved by the Governor of Florida designates the portion of US 301, State Road 43, between State Road 574, Martin Luther King Boulevard, and State Road 60 East, Adamo Drive, in Hillsborough County as Sergeant Paul Smith Memorial Highway. Resolved and effective immediately. Thank you, Iraqi war veterans. Resolution R14117. Whereas generations of American men and women have served bravely and honorably in foreign conflicts over the course of the history of the United States. And whereas since World War II, more than 138,000 Americans serving overseas were detained or interned as prisoners of war. And whereas, in addition to those POWs, more than 84,000 members of the armed forces who served in these wars remain listed by the Department of Defense as unaccounted for, and whereas these thousands of American POWs and MIAs gave an immeasurable sacrifice for their country and for the well-being of their fellow Americans. And whereas their bravery and sacrifice should be forever memorialized and honored by all Americans, and the uncertainty, hardship, and pain endured by the families and the loved ones of the POWs and MIAs should never be forgotten. Enacted by the state legislature and approved by the Governor of Florida, designates the portion of State Road 574 between I-75 State Road 93A and I-4 State Road 400 in Hillsborough County as POW MIA Memorial Highway, enacted immediately.
Thank you. With us today, we're so pleased to have our honored guest, World War II prisoners of war, Lieutenant Colonel William Cadogan, United States Air Force, retired, prisoner of war in Germany, September 44 to May 45, and his wife Joanne. Warrant Officer Randall Edwards, United States Navy, prisoner of war, Cabanatuan, Philippines, and Mukden, Manchuria, May 1942 and August 1945, and his wife Rosemary. Staff Sergeant Jerry Walters, United States Army Air Corps, prisoner of war, Germany, July 45 to May 45, and his wife Flo. And representing First Lieutenant John Crosby, United States Army Air Corps, POW Germany, June 44 to April 45, his widow, Lorraine Graff Crosby. Representing Tech Sergeant Lee Jenks, United States Army Air Corps, Germany, March 1944, January 1945, his widow, Doris Jenks. Representing Colonel Richard Kern, United States Air Force, retired, prisoner of war, Germany, September 1944, June 1945. Prisoner of war, Vietnam, July 1965, February 1973. His son, Stephen Kern, grandson, Corey Kern, and his great-grandson, Cameron Kern. Representing Colonel Oscar Moderer, United States Air Force, MIA, Laos, February 1966, still waiting to come home, Rolling Thunder, John Harrison. Representing Captain Michael Schwan, United States Air Force, missing in action Vietnam, September 1954. Remains returned, March 1985, and his widow, Dana Schwan. Thank you.
Thank you.